the wrong way around, but An Open Heart by the Dalai Lama. We're reading this book together. We are meditating on compassion, chapter 8. And so we are reading page 101. It's 5:13 in the morning, so you're going to have to bear with me. Compassion and emptiness. The compassion that we must ultimately possess is derived from our insight into emptiness, the ultimate nature of reality. It is at this point that the vast meets the profound. This ultimate nature, as explained in chapter 6, the vast and the profound, is the absence of inherent existence in all aspects of reality, the absence of intrinsic identity in all phenomena. We attribute this quality of inherent existence to our mind and body, and then perceive this objective status, the self or me, this strong sense of self, then grasps at some kind of inherent nature of phenomena, such as the quality of carness in a new car we fancy, and as a result of such reification and our ensuing grasping, we may also experience emotions such as anger or unhappiness, in the event that we are denied the object of our desire, the car. Yeah, hi Emma. Look what? Thank you. New computer or whatever it may be. Yes, hi. Reification simply means that we give such objects a reality they don't have. When compassion is joined with this understanding of how all suffering derives from our misconception about the nature of reality, we have reached the next step on our spiritual journey, as we recognise that the basis of misery is this mistaken perception, this mistaken grasping at a non-existent self. We see that suffering can be eliminated. Once we remove the mistaken perception, we shall be no longer troubled by suffering. Knowing that people's suffering is avoidable, that it is surmountable, our sympathy for their inability to extricate themselves leads to a more powerful compassion. Otherwise, though our compassion may be strong, it is likely to have a quality of hopelessness or even despair. Okay, so then there's the next bit. How to meditate on compassion and loving kindness. If we truly intend to develop compassion, we have to devote more time to it than our formal meditation sessions grant us. It is a goal that we must commit ourselves to with all of our heart. If we do have time each day, like when we sit and contemplate, that is very good. As I have suggested, early mornings are a good time for such contemplation, since our minds are particularly clear then. We must, however, devote more than just this period to cultivating compassion. During our more formal sessions, for example, we work at developing empathy and closeness to others. We reflect upon their miserable predicament, and once we have generated a true feeling of compassion within ourselves, we should hold on to it, simply experience it, using the settled meditation I have described to remain focused without applying through thought or reason. This enables us to sink in. It enables it to sink in, us to sink into the feeling. And when the feeling begins to weaken, we can then apply reason to re-stimulate our compassion. We go between these two methods of meditation, much as potters work their clay, moistening it and then forming it to see. 4 minutes. Forming it as they see the need. It is generally best that we initially not spend too much time in formal meditation. We shall not generate compassion for all beings overnight. We won't succeed in a month or a year. If we are able to diminish our selfish instincts and then develop a little more concern for others before our death, we have made a good use of this life. Gosh, really, is that how bad we are? We won't succeed in a month or a year. If we are able to diminish our selfish instincts, and develop a little more concern for others before our death, we have made good progress. Goodness. If instead we push ourselves to attain Buddhahood in a short time, we'll grow tired of our practice. The mere sight of the seat where we engage in our formal morning meditation will stimulate resistance. That's true, by the way. Great compassion. How long have we got? 5 minutes. It is said that the ultimate state of Buddhahood is attainable within a human lifetime. This is for extraordinary practitioners who have devoted many previous lives to preparing themselves for this opportunity. We can feel only admiration for such beings and use their example to develop perseverance instead of pushing ourselves to any extreme. It is best to pursue a middle path between lethargy and fanaticism. It's best to pursue a middle path between lethargy and fanaticism. The middle path between lethargy and fanaticism. It's quite, if you get into Buddhism and you do actually get really bitten by it, you become quite absorbed in it, and you do become really focused in it. They called it the honeymoon period in NKT, which I wasn't particularly taken with that idea, but and it is a form of fanaticism. You're just drinking it all up, trying to find out as much information as possible. But if the path has to be between lethargy and fanaticism, I think I might be doing lethargy right now. We should ensure that whatever we do, we maintain some effect or influence from our meditation, so that it directs our actions as we live in our daily lives. By our doing so, everything we do outside of our formal sessions becomes part of our training in compassion. I can't really understand this, but apparently some people can sit on the cushion and they can be like, oh, compassion, compassion, we must love everyone, and then they get off the cushion and they're still quite self-absorbed and they're still pushing for themselves and all of this. But I mean, if you really are genuinely soaking in compassion, when you come out, then it comes with you, and you look around you and you see everything going on. It doesn't mean you don't have your moments. It's not difficult for us to develop sympathy for a child in the hospital or an acquaintance mourning the death of a spouse. We must start to consider how to keep our hearts open towards those we would normally envy, those who enjoy fine lifestyles and wealth. With an ever deeper recognition of what suffering is gained. With an ever deeper recognition of what suffering is gained from our meditation sessions, we become able to relate to such people with compassion. Eventually, we should be able to relate to all beings in this way, seeing their situation is always dependent on the conditions of the vicious cycle of life. In this way, all interactions with others become catalysts for deepening our compassion. This is how we keep our hearts open in daily lives, outside of our formal meditation periods. True compassion has the intensity and spontaneity of a loving mother caring for her suffering baby. Throughout the day, such a mother's concern for her child affects her thoughts and actions. This is the attitude we are looking to cultivate towards each other and every being. When we experience this, we have generated great compassion. Once one has become profoundly moved by great compassion and loving kindness, and has had one's heart stirred by altruistic thoughts, one must pledge to devote oneself to freeing all beings from the suffering they endure within cyclic existence. The vicious circle of birth, death, and rebirth we are all prisoners of. Our suffering is not limited to our present situation. According to the Buddhist view, our present situation as humans is relatively comfortable. However, we stand to experience much difficulty in the future if we misuse this present opportunity. Compassion enables us to refrain from thinking in a self-centered way. We experience great joy and never fall to the extreme of simply seeking our own personal happiness and salvation. We continually strive to develop and perfect our virtue and wisdom. With such compassion we shall eventually possess all the necessary conditions for attaining enlightenment. We must therefore cultivate compassion from the very start of our spiritual practice. So far, we have dealt with those practices that enable us to refrain from unwholesome behaviour. We have discussed how the mind works and how we must work on it as much as we would work on a physical object, by applying certain actions in order to bring about desired results. We recognise the process of opening our hearts to be no different. There is no secret method by which compassion and loving kindness can come about. We must knead our minds skillfully, and with patience and perseverance we shall find that our concern for the well-being of others will grow. Okay. So, next.